Hello, I'm Patrick Prince with the Tulsa World. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined by our Tulsa World columnist, Bill Haisten, and our Oklahoma State beat writer Tyler Waldrep. And we're here to talk a little bit of what's going on with the OSU coaching update. We're taping this on Wednesday. As of tomorrow, this search to replace Mike Boynton will be 2 weeks old. Bill, let's start with you. Where are we?
Well, let's specify, Patrick, that we're taping it at 4:08 p.m. because by 6:08 p.m. this whole thing may have, right? This whole process may completely change or be finished even. So where do we stand with it? I can't say with 100% confidence that any one of these speculated on figures has been offered the job, but I do feel pretty strongly that two of the targets, one was the Drake coach, Darian DeVries, and the other was Danny Sprinkle of Utah State. They are now hired elsewhere, right? DeVries is at West Virginia, and Sprinkle is up in Seattle at the University of Washington. So the name that I have heard today most frequently, like 10 to 1 on all this networking I do, is Steve Lutz at Western Kentucky, who had really good success, Patrick, at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and then has gone to Western Kentucky at his first-year guy there. So, but with regard to where it stands, I mean, this has been the most buttoned-up, top-secret search I can remember in a long time. I mean, nothing has been leaked from Chad's inner circle. So it's been a tough search to cover. And I'm sure now that you say, tomorrow's 2 weeks, it's been a frustrating, I think, process for the OSU fan base. But I mean, the one message I hear more than any other from the people I talk with is you'd rather get it right than to do it in a hurry and not get it right. So I don't think there's a tremendous rush to get this done, even though we are in a transfer portal window right now in college basketball. And OSU's best player or most important big man for sure, Brandon Garrison, is looking around apparently. So, but where does it stand? It's 4:10 now on Wednesday, and by mid-evening, this may be all wrapped up, and we may meet again here tomorrow at 4:10 p.m. and it'll still be undecided. I don't know. So it's really, I wish I had better information. I think everybody wishes they had better information. But as we speak, Chad has done a really, really tight, secretive search.
Tyler, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, typically you don't, let a coach go and then plan on spending the next 2 weeks looking to replace him. I mean, I think, big coaching hires in college athletics now could be like a 2-day process. The biggest, some of the biggest decisions often take place in 2 or 3 days. So the fact that the search is stretched on so long definitely suggests that there's been problems, and that's some of what you hear is that the search hasn't been easy. Whether that's from identifying a candidate or getting a candidate that is interested in Oklahoma State. I mean, I don't think the search has been a dream so far. I mean, now that all doesn't matter if you get the right guy and you win the press conference and put together a roster that wins in year one. But at least for right now, you don't want to see coaching searches last a long time.
Bill, you wrote about this today. Is John Lucas a candidate, or is that just throwing out names?
Well, no, it was more than just throwing out a name because, I mean, there's a lot of really interesting names. If I just wanted to, for the sake of clicks, if I just wanted to throw out sexy names, there's a lot of names. No, Lucas, John Lucas III, is 41 years old, former Cowboy point guard, hit the shot that sent Oklahoma State to the Final Four 20 years ago today. Hit that three against St. Joseph's. He now is an assistant with the Phoenix Suns, brilliant basketball guy. And So I had talked with Randy Rutherford yesterday, another former OSU star, right? And I said, who am I not thinking about, Randy? And he said, you know, I'm telling you, the guy that I would endorse most strongly for that job is John Lucas III. And I just thought, holy moly, how did I not think of him? When I thought of his younger brother, Jay Lucas, who's at Duke as an assistant, but I didn't even think about John Lucas. So no, it's not just a random crazy name that's not viable, but it does go. And Tyler knows this, I mean it's been very consistent messaging from OSU that they want Patrick, this new coach, to have head coaching experience, and they want this preferably to be a current head coach somewhere, right? So that would, you would think, eliminate probably John Lucas III from real consideration. But what if this drags on another 3 or 4 days and they have to broaden their horizon and look maybe at assistant coach, take a good hard look at assistant coaches. And then you think, well, John Lucas is a young guy, he's a smart guy. And what does OSU do more than most schools? They hire OSU people, right? John Smith, Josh Holliday, Mike Gundy, Mike Holder was an OSU grad, obviously. I mean, so on and on and on. Oh, and I'm forgetting several. Anyway, so I would say as we speak, probably John Lucas, I shouldn't presume anything because we know so little about what Chad's really up to, right? I mean, so you hear, well, Chad Weiberg may have flown to Phoenix to see Bryce Drew of Grand Canyon. Well, who's to say he didn't stop by and see John Lucas III if he was in Phoenix, right? So we just don't know. But I would say John Lucas. But for somebody of Randy Rutherford's pedigree and history with Oklahoma State to come out so strongly and say he's the guy I would choose, or the guy I would support most strongly in that job is John Lucas III. That in itself was, kind of newsworthy. So I went ahead and wrote it.
Tyler, what do you think? You're in Stillwater. You're based in Stillwater. Is there anything from what you're hearing or anything that you can share that we haven't talked about?
I mean, I think the biggest stuff is, a lot of the big stuff has come out today. I was hearing before Nevada released a statement that Steve Alford is not planning on leaving, and then that since then they've released a statement that confirms that. And I have heard some gossip that suggests Chad was in Phoenix, like Bill said. But whether that, I can't confirm that at this time if he was in Phoenix. And if he's in Phoenix, like Bill said, I think if he's going anywhere, he's trying to meet with as many potential candidates as he can, or he's at least reaching out to people. If there's anybody in Phoenix that you're interested in, you'd probably want to at least have a conversation with them, right? So no, I would say there's nothing else. Kind of like Bill said, this has been a pretty buttoned up search so far.
I would say, Patrick, real quick, Tyler mentioned that typically, I mean, you don't ever really make a coaching change without having a plan. And OSU, not only did they make the change when they did, but they took a bigger hit on the buyout of Mike Boynton, right? By not waiting until April 1st. So I got to think maybe that Chad had a specific couple of targets in mind and was hoping, I'm sure, for a pretty quick resolution on this thing, like within 5 days or something. And so for it to drag on to 2 full weeks would suggest to me that they did hit a wall with a candidate or two. So, I had one really, really good source tell me that he said this was, I guess, Monday night. And he said, I know for a fact Chad's talking with 5 candidates. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but the fact that we are now on the brink of a 2-week process, think about it. Like West Virginia got Darian DeVries, but West Virginia knew since June they were going to hire a coach because of Bob Huggins' resignation. And I guess they had an interim guy all season. So Ren Baker, who is an Oklahoma State grad, is the AD up at West Virginia. So did Ren Baker kind of stick a dagger into OSU by hiring Darian DeVries? Maybe, because Darian DeVries kind of was exactly, I think, what Chad was looking for. An affordable, successful guy, right, whose age is good, and who I like Missouri Valley coaches. Tubby Smith, great example around here of a Missouri Valley guy who came to Tulsa and lit it up. And I thought Darian DeVries kind of fit that mold perfectly. But now he's up in West Virginia, which is interesting too, because that's a comparably financed athletic department to OSU's and a conference rival, no less. And so that's kind of that one kind of was a kick in the butt for OSU to see that guy go up to West Virginia. So, but I want to pour cold water on one thing real quick. I've heard and seen on social media and a couple of my text message friends say, well, I'm not so sure maybe that the OSU is considered a good job or a desirable job. That is bull crap. It's still at least a $2.5 million job in a Power 5 league. That's one of the two best leagues in the country with regard to depth, competitive depth. You got to be kidding me. Of course, a lot of people want that job. And that's what Chad Weiberg's doing is like Randy Rutherford said, you can't rush this process. Now, 2 weeks is stretching everybody's patience a little bit, but yeah, even if it takes 3 weeks, better to be right than to get like a year from today and look back and say, oh crap, this doesn't feel right. This isn't a fit, whatever. So we'll see. I mean, it is now about the longest search I can remember ever being a part of cover at 2 weeks. So, but it does feel like for whatever reason, maybe it's hopeful. Maybe I'm just hoping this, but it does feel like we're close to the finish line on it. And because it's been so secretive, it'll hit us out of nowhere and we'll have to scramble and react. But man, I never thought going in we would see a 2-week process.
Tyler, any thoughts of that? Or I've got one more question and I can go to that now. Or Tyler, you want to respond to that?
I mean, I really just agree with Bill. I can't imagine the plan was that I can't imagine Chad thought it might go 2 weeks. Maybe if one of the candidates was somebody that made it a deeper run in the tournament, that's kind of the only reason I think you would even plan for it to go this long.
Yeah.
Bill, before we hit record today, you talked about a coach that you really like. You want to go on record with who that is?
You meant Steve Lutz?
No. The coach that you said if you were.
Well, right. No, I just mentioned that, if because he fits the criteria and I think he's just a really bright, sharp guy who's had success at 2 schools is Anthony Grant up at Dayton, who used to be at Alabama. I mean, that's a guy I'm a little surprised that I haven't heard some chatter. I mean, I put him on our original list because he's affordable. I don't know whether he's available. I don't know. Because he may be so happy in Dayton, he would never want to leave. But it is a consistently successful program up there, and he's a really impressive guy. So I just thought from the beginning that Anthony Grant was a guy who intrigued me. But no, there's a lot of coaches around. It does make me wonder, though, Tyler, if maybe at this point in the process, if Chad is looking at the pool of hot assistants at this point and go in that direction, because I mean, just for the sake, hiring a head coach just for the sake of, to me, why run the risk of hiring a retread who's been okay at 3 schools or okay, at a couple of schools, but not really dynamic? I'd rather roll the dice on an assistant who everybody's saying, yeah, this guy is going to light it up as a head coach for somebody someday. Well, go ahead and give that guy that chance. At least to me, nothing is more tired than to see a retread guy keep getting jobs and keep getting the same results. And I don't mean that as any kind of disrespect to any specific coach. I'm just saying sometimes, man, the best guy for a job May not fit exactly your criteria going in, but he's out there somewhere. And maybe that's part of the reason this is taking a little longer. Maybe Chad's just doing a deeper dive into, what's out there.
I mean, winning is, winning is everything, obviously, but no, you could hire a guy that's won other places. You could hire an assistant. You can't guarantee success. And winning the press conference isn't the most important thing, but as the new guy in town, with a long search and the way the last 7 years went, I kind of feel like Oklahoma State would really benefit from an exciting press conference, something that fans and boosters can get excited about, a guy that could potentially excite guys in the portal, maybe excite guys that are currently still in town into staying. The longer the search goes, the more I think whoever Oklahoma State hires really needs to be somebody exciting. And it doesn't need to be a guy that goes, oh, yeah, he's good, I guess.
Yeah.
That can't be the response.